Hi, I'm Helen, a 29-year-old newlywed. My husband Bobby, 31, works as an office employee. Our lives took an unexpected turn when, without discussing it with me first, Bobby decided to let his younger sister Doris move into our new home. This house, valued at $500,000, was designed specifically for us as a couple, and we have been excitedly involved in every detail of its design and furnishings since our engagement. When we moved in, I was shocked by the sheer volume of Bobby's belongings. I asked him, Bobby, is there enough room for all this? It seems like a lot. He casually dropped a bombshell. Oh, did I not mention? Doris is moving in with us. I was taken aback and asked, why would Doris move in now? We just got married. Bobby brushed off my concerns, saying, it's no big deal. Doris is family too. It shouldn't be a problem for us to live together. I objected, emphasizing that we hadn't discussed this at all, but Bobby continued unpacking, his frustration mounting. If you don't like it, you can leave. I've already decided Doris is staying, so stop complaining. Feeling cornered, I threatened to call my brother for support. Bobby quickly backtracked, saying, wait, don't call him. Doris won't be here forever. She just needs a place to stay until she finds a job. Can you understand that? Reluctantly, I agreed. When I suggested that Doris stay in the guest room, Bobby hesitated before muttering, yeah, though his uncertainty was clear. After a chaotic day of unpacking, we were celebrating our move with a toast when the doorbell rang late at night. To my dismay, it was Doris. As I lingered in the kitchen, dressed for bed and not in the mood for visitors, Bobby called out, hey Helen, Doris is here. I forced a smile and greeted her, welcome Doris. What brings you here so late? Doris boldly replied, can I come home whenever I want? Show me my spacious room, big bro. She followed Bobby to the guest room, only to complain, this isn't the right room. You said it was bigger. Storming upstairs, she began searching for another room. I followed, horrified to see her claiming my designated workspace. I couldn't hold back my frustration. This is my workroom. Can't be yours. Bobby interjected, why not make this Doris's room? The situation was spiraling, challenging the very foundation of our new marriage and home. I stood firm. No way. In search of a compromise, I suggested the room next door, Bobby's planned workspace, which was also spacious. But he was visibly distressed. Not that room. I'd been looking forward to using it. I even picked out the wallpaper myself. The only other option was the future children's room, currently a guest room. Doris, still unsatisfied, snapped, you're quite insolent, aren't you? Not listening to the head of the household. Pretty cheeky for someone who relies on him for meals. Exhausted and disheartened by her accusation, I thought, who's the real freeloader here? I retreated to the living room to celebrate our move alone, listening to their argument from afar. Eventually, Bobby confronted me, accusing me of always opposing him and acting high and mighty. He grabbed the wine bottle, took a large gulp, and shouted, if you can't listen to me, get out. I'm the head of this household. With that, he stormed off with Doris. Feeling overwhelmed, I decided to call my brother. He answered immediately, sounding upset. Are you mad, bro? Were you sleeping? I'm sorry. I explained the situation with Doris moving in, and how Bobby and Doris were treating me. My brother expressed concern, saying it sounded like I was being treated almost like a servant. I laughed off his worries, asserting confidently that everything would be fine. I'm your sister, not a servant. If they think they can manage that, let them try, I said defiantly. My brother chuckled. Good point, but call me if anything happens. Our conversation then shifted to his troubles, and I was shocked to learn that his wife had been seeing other men she met on a dating site and was having an affair. He discovered the truth after she mistakenly sent him a message meant for her lover. Bobby had been suspicious for a while, and with proof in hand, he took her phone and sent her back to her parents. He planned to visit her parents the next day to discuss everything. We ended our call with a plan to stay in touch, both acknowledging the tough situations we found ourselves in. After hanging up, I focused on unpacking the remaining boxes, waiting for Bobby and Doris to return. They came back late at night, cheerfully drunk. As I continued unpacking, I braced myself to welcome them. Bobby and Doris approached me, excited about what they thought was a brilliant idea. Let's move our bedroom to Doris's room, and we can each sleep in our workspaces. What do you think? It's a good idea, right? Just clear out the room for Doris by tomorrow. I paused before replying, needing to clarify something first. How much will Doris contribute to groceries and household supplies each month? And she's not planning on staying here forever, right? How long does she intend to stay? Bobby looked uneasy at my questions. You want money from Doris who doesn't have a job? Don't worry, I'll cover it with my salary, Doris chimed in, her tone dripping with entitlement. I'll stay until I'm satisfied. I can't stand my mom's old-fashioned cooking and her nagging about laundry and cleaning. Here, I can do what I want without spending a dime. It's perfect. If you don't like it, Ellen, why don't you just move out? I snapped back. Then let's divide the household expenses. I'll cover my share with my income, and you can use your salary for yourself and Doris. They seemed oddly pleased with this arrangement, even as I added, and you'll need to take care of your chores. Feeling they were taking me seriously, I left a written note outlining our agreement. The next day, still worried about my brother, I decided to visit him at his office. He had taken over as the president of a construction company after our father passed away last year. Surprised to see me, he invited me in to talk. I explained the situation at home and asked if there might be a position for me at his company. Our secretary is leaving due to her husband's relocation. It's good timing, he replied, agreeing to hire me. Then he shared some troubling news that left me stunned. His wife was pregnant, but it was clear the child wasn't his. Evidence filled her phone. Messages, photos, and videos of her lovers, all of whom wanted to shirk responsibility upon learning of the pregnancy. When I asked if he was considering a divorce, he sighed. It will be tough for the kids, but I see no other option. I advised him to consult with a lawyer for a proper discussion before making any decisions. Returning home, I felt a mixture of worry and determination. I was haunted by the images and texts revealing my sister-in-law's affair. Despite knowing her as a loving, family-oriented person, her betrayal felt like losing a close friend. Tears welled up as I processed the shock when I heard persistent knocking on my door. Hey, I'm hungry. Can you make something? Doris's voice echoed through the door, but I was too stunned and drained to respond. I let her be. Moments later, my phone rang. It was my husband calling from work. Anticipating the direction of the conversation, I chose not to answer. I simply wasn't in the mood to talk. Shortly after, I received a text from my brother, asking if I could accompany him to a lawyer the following day. I replied with an okay sticker, then must have drifted off to sleep. I was abruptly awakened by my husband's loud voice. You didn't even prepare food for Doris. And you're sleeping? What's that about? He roared. Without saying a word, I held up a written pledge we had made, signaling him to read it. Realizing the situation, he turned to Doris and said, Let's let her sleep. She seems off. We can talk about this tomorrow. I'm not sick, I'm just tired of this, I mumbled, rolling over to sleep again. The next morning, I quietly left the house without waking my husband and headed to my brother's place. He looked like he hadn't slept at all, his eyes bloodshot. Before anything else, I helped get his kids ready and took them to kindergarten. During the drive, they shared snippets of their home life. Mommy was the bad one. She left us at home and went out. We cried because we were alone, so Daddy got angry, they said innocently. I reassured them, if you're ever lonely, just call Auntie, okay? Their cheerful yay made it clear they were too sad about their mom's absence. After dropping off the kids, my brother and I went to see the lawyer. The lawyer confirmed that the evidence on my sister-in-law's phone, photos, videos, and messages, was more than sufficient for a divorce case and to argue for parental rights. After my brother shared his story, I felt a mixture of sadness and determination. After my meeting with the lawyer, I had a chance to discuss my situation, and my brother dropped me back home. He mentioned he'd be gathering the family later to talk about the divorce. If anything happens, just call us. We're all here for you, he assured me as he left. As I walked into the living room, I was met with chaos. They had attempted to make breakfast, leaving the kitchen greasy and dishes piled high. Frustrated, I hesitated, torn between cleaning up after them and confronting the mess. Just then, Doris appeared. Where did you go? You didn't make breakfast and Bobby went to work hungry. Isn't it unacceptable to abandon your chores as a wife? She confronted me. I responded firmly, I'm not your maid or servant. Weren't you taught to clean up after yourself as a child? Ignoring her repetitive complaints, I decided not to let her provocations get to me. The situation at home needed resolution, and I was determined to ensure everyone played their part responsibly. But you're the wife, Doris shot back as I stormed to my room. only to find my belongings missing and Doris's items scattered everywhere. Shocked and confused, I confronted her in the living room. Did you go into my room? Your stuff is everywhere. What's going on? With a smug look, Doris replied, "Oh, I've always loved your room. It fits my neat and cute image perfectly, don't you think? I moved your stuff into the guest room." Fuming, I hurried to the guest room, where I found my computer and belongings tossed aside carelessly. The disrespect was palpable, and my anger boiled over. A burning desire for retribution ignited within me, and I resolved not to let this slide. I planned to confront Bobby the moment he got home. When he returned unexpectedly early, likely tipped off by Doris, I heard his heavy footsteps approaching the guest room. It was clear he knew about the switch, and I braced myself for the worst. When Bobby burst through the door, his expression was fierce, with Doris grinning triumphantly by his side. "You went against Doris," he accused. "Aren't you my wife? Isn't it your job to look after me and your sister-in-law?" In that moment, any affection I felt for him vanished. The affection I once held for Bobby faded away as he stood there, failing to defend me or acknowledge Doris's invasive behavior. There were no calls for her to move her things back or any questions about why she was disregarding my personal space. Determined, I confronted him. "If this is how it's going to be, I'm inviting my brother over. He's never seen our house, and maybe it's time he did." Despite his usual apprehension about my brother, Bobby's demeanor shifted with Doris by his side. "Are you sure about that? If you let that thug into our house, I'll kick you out," he threatened confidently. "Go ahead, try it. I'll call my mother, my brother, and his wife to show them this place," I shot back, unflinching. His expression hardened as he warned, "Do not dare call your family. If you don't like it here, then leave." Doris chimed in with a smirk. "This is my castle with Bobby. You have no right to call anyone here. Even if your family comes, we'll just kick them out." Unfazed, I grabbed my phone. "I'll call my brother then. Maybe it's best if we live apart. You two can invite your friends and party all you want. Sounds like you prefer that." Their faces lit up at the idea, and Bobby even suggested, "Maybe we should just get divorced already." Fed up with their disrespect and stubbornness, I decided it was time to make the call. My family needed to see firsthand what I was dealing with. As I dialed, the reality of our fractured relationship hit me hard, but I was ready to take a stand. Bobby and Doris buzzed with excitement at the prospect of having the house to themselves, but I calmly warned them, "All right, but you'll regret this. I'm calling my family now." My brother answered eagerly, "We've been waiting for this. We're on our way." His readiness to jump into action moved me, and I felt a glimmer of hope. Within about 25 minutes, my family arrived. Doris, who had threatened to kick my family out, turned pale at the sight of my brother. "I thought you were going to kick out my family when they arrived," I remarked, watching Doris shake her head weakly. Seeing her so subdued made Bobby shrink back in fear as well. My brother, a former national-ranked judo competitor now coaching at a local boys' club, towered over everyone at 6 feet tall, his buzz cut emphasizing his imposing presence. My younger brother, also a judo practitioner, mirrored his appearance. They had both been memorable figures at the wedding. "Are we getting kicked out by who?" My elder brother laughed. Doris tried to muster some bravado. "Yeah, my brother is divorcing his useless wife. Now please leave," she retorted. "What? You're the ones leaving, aren't you? This is Helen's house, built with her share of her father's inheritance and in her name," my younger brother shot back. As this unfolded, my mother began tidying up the kitchen, exclaiming, "Oh dear, what a mess." She then called out to my brothers, "Don't drag out the conversation. Get to the point already." Taking her cue, my brothers turned to me, instructing, "Another person is coming. Let them in when they arrive." They gestured for Bobby and Doris to sit down. "We have 2 matters to discuss today. The first is that we need you to leave," my brother stated. Doris, taken aback, incredulously asked if it was true that this house belonged to me. Bobby faltered, "Well, I was talking to the contractors about the interior and stuff, so I thought it was my house, but maybe it's not. But I'm the head of the household, right?" It was clear he had misconstrued being the head of the household as ownership, ignoring the source of the funds. "Being the head of the household and owning the house are 2 different things," my brother replied, leaving Bobby speechless. Doris, however, stubbornly retorted, "I won't leave. Do you know about residency rights? I have rights, so if you don't want us here, you leave." She glared defiantly at me. "You seem to have researched this thoroughly, but this isn't a rental property. And you're not paying Helen any rent, are you?" So residency rights don't apply here, my brother pointed out. Sensing the gravity of the situation, Bobby started to resist. But I'm married to Helen, right? I can't just leave. I won't separate, he argued, clinging to his last shred of defense. Just then, the doorbell rang. The guests my brothers had mentioned had probably arrived. I'd opened the door to find my sister-in-law, my older brother's wife, standing there, tears streaming down her face. I turned to my brother. Your wife is here with your child. What should we do? My mother, Avra the peacemaker, suggested she would take the child upstairs to a quieter room. After guiding them up, I allowed my sister-in-law to enter the house. Bobby, caught off guard by her presence, stammered, "How did you find out where we live? Please just go home for today." His suspicious demeanor didn't escape notice, and my elder brother stepped in, his voice thick with disdain. "Did you forget my wife's face? This is the second matter we need to discuss." The color drained from Bobby's face as confusion and fear took hold. "You mean she is?" Panic flashed in his eyes and he looked ready to flee, but he was rooted to the spot. My brother held up evidence of the affair and confronted him. "It seems my wife is pregnant with your child. Did you two plan this?" He threw the evidence onto the table, declaring, "For me, it's divorce. Nothing less." Hearing this, Doris, terrified of the scandal, blurted, "I'll pack my things and go back to my parents' house," and made a move to escape. Upstairs, my younger brother quickly stepped in. "We've got a truck loaded with boxes. Start packing your things right now. I'll get the boxes." Doris hesitated. "Am I leaving today?" One stern look from my brother made her relent. Meanwhile, my elder brother handed divorce papers to his wife. "Sign these." Seeing the custody section designated for him, she hesitated, but he firmly said, "That's what the kids want. Your opinion doesn't matter." With tears streaming down her face, she signed. "Next time, take care of the child you're carrying. I won't ask for child support, but don't ever show your face to my kids unless they want to see you," he stated, as she apologized to him from her knees. Watching this unfold, I realized the depth of pain my brother had been bearing. Then the focus shifted to me. "So, Helen, what are you going to do?" my elder brother asked. Without hesitation, I replied, "I choose divorce too. I want him out of my house as soon as possible." Bobby dropped to his knees, begging, "I don't want a divorce. Please forgive me," he added desperately. "Besides, it could be his child, not mine." This only solidified my decision. I had seen enough to see, and I was ready to reclaim my life and my home. My brother calmly stated, "I'm done having kids. I've had surgery to ensure that." Bobby was left utterly speechless. Handing me the divorce papers, my brother suggested, "If you want him out immediately, along with Doris, have him sign these." I directed Bobby to sign, and after a moment of hesitation, perhaps realizing there was no escape from the mess he created, he complied. After he signed, I presented him and Doris with pledge documents my lawyer had prepared. They required them to compensate for the damages in the house, amounting to roughly $50,000, and to agree never to enter my home again. Under my brother's stern gaze, Bobby hesitantly signed the pledge, his shoulders slumping as he trudged upstairs to pack his belongings. Meanwhile, my brother mentioned with a hint of irony, "Oh, I got a marriage license for you guys when I picked up the divorce papers." He handed it to his wife, who without a second thought signed it and pushed it toward Bobby. "Sign it quickly. You've messed up my life, so you have to take responsibility. I'm having this baby. You can't just walk away." With a desperate look, Bobby signed the document, sobbing, "Just do whatever you want." But my brother wasn't done. "Hey, you won't say anything unless I ask, huh? Don't you have anything to say to me?" This prompted a profuse apology from Bobby, his remorse palpable as he nearly bowed to the floor. We all worked quickly to pack Bobby's and Doris's belongings into boxes, loading them onto a waiting truck that transported everything to their parents' house. Thus, my brief married life came to an abrupt but decisive end. As I contemplated living alone in the big house, my mother proposed selling her house to move in with my younger brother. My older brother decided to sell his home as well and move in with his 4 children, suggesting they buy my house with the proceeds. He lightheartedly added, "Why not build a new house when you get married next time?" But I insisted, "I'm good with an apartment." Together, we got a dog that the kids had always wanted. Despite the house's history of unhappy memories, we were building a life full of laughter and happiness. Meanwhile, my ex-husband married my former sister-in-law 8 months later and moved in with her at his parents' house. He found himself working tirelessly to pay for the damages they caused to my home, while Doris treated her new sister-in-law like a maid, pushing her to the breaking point. Unable to tolerate seeing her daughter in such a state, Doris's mother eventually kicked her out. Desperate, Doris reached out to my ex-husband for help, but he coldly blamed her, saying, "If you hadn't moved in, we'd still be living in that mansion." Doris ended up alone and isolated, with no one on her side, a stark contrast to the new beginning and familial unity I found with my family.